Hello, and welcome to the November edition of Florida by the Numbers. I'm Sheridan Morby, Senior Research Economist at the Florida Chamber Foundation, and I'm excited to give you an update on Florida's economy, including new migration figures and the latest tourism statistics. The Florida Scorecard is a great resource to stay up to date in real time with all of the latest economic metrics. This month's update is focused on the latest state-level trends, but you can see what's happening in your county on the floridascorecard.org. Before we dive deeper into the latest economic metrics, new data was just released related to migration into and out of Florida. According to this latest data, we had net state-to-state migration of 126,000 people. That was the second highest in the country behind Texas. However, our out-migration was also the second highest in the country. Although our state-to-state in-migration and overall net migration are still among the highest levels in the country, Florida had a large increase in the number of people moving out of the state. Latest data gives us a picture of who is moving out and moving in, which gives us insight into the way these migration trends could be impacting Florida's economy. The median age of those moving in is higher than those moving out by a few years. We also are seeing more homeowners moving into the state, which could be an indicator of a more established, older workforce. While both the population moving in and out are well educated, those moving in have a higher educational attainment. When we break down the data further, the main population leaving is ages 20 to 29. This is a crucial age range because that is the new talent. If we lose a large portion of the population from 20 to 29, while gaining a large population of retirement age who are not working, it contributes to a reduced labor force participation rate, which has been the case in Florida. Excluding COVID-19, the current labor force participation rate in Florida for those 16 years or older is 58.6%, and that's the lowest since 1983. The current workforce is feeling the impact of those migration trends. We're seeing wealth migrate in, but the workforce migrating out. According to census surveys, the number one reason people are leaving Florida is for cheaper housing, and the second is job opportunities outside of the state. Workforce and housing are key parts of our economy to keep an eye on. A great step to moving the needle on these issues is to join the conversation at our Florida Chamber Foundation Solution Summits, including the Transportation, Growth, and Infrastructure Summit in Orlando in December, and the 2025 Economic Outlook and Job Solution Summit held virtually in January. I'll provide more information on how to register in a moment. Florida saw a monthly dip in jobs in October for the first time in years. Overall, Florida still added over 130,000 jobs annually, but did lose 38,000 jobs over the month. However, it's important to note that these employment figures were measured during the same time period as Hurricanes Helene and Milton. Due to the way this data is collected, it can be heavily influenced by storms and reflect short-term impacts on jobs. The decline of 38,000 jobs does not necessarily mean that 38,000 people lost their jobs, just that they saw or experienced a loss in hours and income. We expect these job numbers to rebound in next month's release, proving this decline in jobs to be a disruption to trends, not a sign of things to come. Despite the decline in jobs, unemployment remains steady, with an unemployment rate of 3.3%. This unemployment rate, which is in the natural range, has held steady for 7 months now. Florida's unemployment rate has now been below the national unemployment rate for 4 consecutive years. Currently, for every 100 open jobs, there are 97 Floridians looking for work. Although the labor market has seen more balance, there's still a lot of variation at the county level. You can see the latest labor market trends in your area on the floridascorecard.org. Single-family home sales were lower than expected this month, down over 12% annually. Some attribute these low sales to Hurricane Helene hitting in late September. We'll be looking closely at housing statistics as October figures are released soon, as these will see the impact of Hurricane Milton. We are also waiting to see how housing demand could be impacted by the Federal Reserve's cut to interest rates, likely stimulating it some. Single-family home sale prices have remained steady, only up 0.2% year over year. Annual inflation saw a small increase this month, now 2.6% at the national level. Despite the small uptick, the expectation is still that the Federal Reserve is going to cut interest rates in December, probably by a half point. This won't have direct, immediate impact on consumers, but does typically have a delayed impact by lowering borrowing costs for consumers and businesses. New tourism figures from Visit Florida show that Florida continues to have record visitation. Quarter 3 of 2024 saw the highest Quarter 3 numbers on record for Florida, up nearly 2% from last year. This is led by domestic visitors, although international visitors is on the rise and approaching 2019 levels. The amount of air travel is also up and accounts for about 36% of travel into the state. Tourism is one of many topics that will be covered at our December 3rd Transportation Growth and Infrastructure Summit. Other topics include solving the affordable workforce housing challenge and building tomorrow's workforce, which address those key motivators for those leaving Florida, especially the new talent in the 20 to 29-year-old age range. You can register for the summit by scanning the QR code on the screen. We continue to stay up to date with our 2024 economic forecast and have seen the economy perform as we expected. Housing prices are in range with our predictions, interest rate cuts have come to fruition, and job growth should be in the expected range after the labor market bounces back from October's hurricanes. We will be releasing our 2025 economic forecast during the 2025 Florida Economic Outlook and Job Solution Summit, held virtually on January 30th. We will also be covering many topics related to workforce, which is a great way to get engaged in response to those new migration trends. To stay up to date as soon as Florida's latest metrics are released, we have a couple of resources for you to stay informed between now and next month's By the Numbers. Follow at FloridaBTN, which stands for By the Numbers, on X, formerly known as Twitter, where these and other updated figures are posted regularly. Also, be sure to check the floridascorecard.org on a regular basis. These expected metrics will be added as soon as they become available at both the state and county levels to help Florida leaders lead with data-driven insights. The Florida Scorecard and our team's accompanying research and analyses on these metrics are made possible by the Florida Chamber Foundation's community development partners, companies with a statewide footprint committed to fueling the research and solutions for Florida's long-term economic success. If you have any questions regarding the topics covered today or the work of the Florida Chamber Foundation, please reach out to me through the information on the screen. Thank you for joining us this month for Florida by the Numbers. We hope that you have a great Thanksgiving, and we will see you in December for a special 2024 in Review edition of Florida by the Numbers.